In today's episode, I guess this happens a lot. Redoing the entire user interface is quick and easy. Customer expectations. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I guess this happens a lot. One thing I quickly learned while working at a psychiatric hospital was to ignore the screaming. If you didn't see the person who was screaming when you first heard it, you were probably fine. Only note it and act upon it if it got louder, especially if you were stationary. I hadn't been at the psychiatric hospital very long, so I was still working on fixing all the random broken things as I discovered them. I had a ticket for a PC at a nursing station I had yet to make it around to. I don't recall the specific issue, but I remember going in person to give the area a once-over. Once there, I noticed a couple of PCs not being used due to not having keyboards. I fixed what I was there for, then went back to my office to grab a couple of keyboards. Quick explanation: all the units were laid out the same. A long hallway, with a wall and door halfway down. To the side of the wall and door was the unit's nursing station, with half walls along either side, allowing nurses at the station to see out either side of the wall and down each end of the hallway. I returned to the unit, keyboards in hand. I immediately noted screaming, but as the side of the hallway I was on was empty of patients, I ignored it. As I continued down the hallway, the screaming got louder. I finally got far enough down the hallway to be able to see into the nursing station, which was empty. Up to that point, I'd never seen one devoid of nurses. Combined with the screaming, my guard suddenly went up. I walked into the nursing station, and the screaming was even louder. As I walked to the first PC, I could finally see down the other side of the hallway. Just outside the half wall were all the nurses on the floor, restraining a patient who was screaming. One nurse on each limb, and another holding their head still. I froze for a moment, because that was a new thing to me. Then I slowly realized the nurses didn't seem all that concerned. They were doing their jobs, yes, but I saw no panic in their faces or demeanor. Their faces looked no different to the ones who look bored taking your temperature and blood pressure at a doctor's office. I shrugged. I guess this happens a lot. I then plugged in the keyboards and went back to my office. Redoing the entire user interface is quick and easy. Another one from this week. I'm currently helping out another team with their handling of a chemical plant. We manage their SCADA server and provide support in case of emergencies, as well as adding small changes to their user interface in case of physical changes to their pipe system. I got an email from one of their techs with new PID diagrams, and got told to update the screen for the water intake system. After going through the pages and checking that I have all the info I need, I log into their developer interface to add the changes. Only to realize that nothing fits. Literally all controllers, sensors and alarms have been renamed, new tanks have been added, and a completely new variable system has been introduced. That means I have to change all symbols to the new variable names, add a new faceplate, add about 35 new pipe connections and switch out sensors, controllets, etc. All in all, my temporary contract is set for 16H of support. That means I would have had about 2 full workdays to implement the changes. Just rebuilding and generating new, usable, variable names, about 1200, is already 4H of work. Then changing out all of the old ones would have taken me another 6 hours. The remaining 6H I could have tried and half-ass it, and get the new stuff added, but the quality would have been subpar, and in the end Noon would be happy. So I called them and explained myself, and all they answered was it's just a few words and lines and pictures. Quick and easy, just do it. So that's what I did. Now I get messages all the time asking why this and that looks so poorly done, or why they can't find a variable or symbol anymore. Thankfully my coworker gave them a long talk and most of them are quiet about it now. I'll never understand how people expect great quality in fast time for low costs. Customer expectations. I work for a software partner implementing CRM systems, and we had a customer complaint about 6 weeks ago. They said there were 3 things that they were complaining about. 1, that we would sometimes come back to them after a couple of weeks and by then they would be doing something else. 2, that we didn't seem as happy to work with their other technologies as we used to. And 3, we aren't as responsive to them as we used to be. I had a look into it and, as it turns out, he was quite right. Regarding point 1, we would complete a piece of work, hand it over to their staff for testing, and then move on to something else until they had tested it and told us to move it to their production system. Unfortunately, they have no internal project management team, so their staff would forget. A couple of weeks later, we would email them going, "How is it going with the testing?" To which the normal reply would be, "We've forgotten how it works, please remind us." The cycle would then continue. Regarding point 2, the CRM system we implement has a whole host of third-party products that slot nicely into it. Additionally, we regularly make new partnerships with new third-party vendors if their product is up to scratch. The customer had signed up and installed, with no consultation with us, a random third-party system that was really bad. Like, really bad. Similar systems we recommend and work with have monthly updates to them, so when I said this hasn't been updated in over 18 months, I was shocked to discover that the product had had no updates released in the last 18 months. Regarding point 3, we offer both support and project work. Support has an SLA, project goes into the backlog. As a result, support is actually much more expensive than project, and has caps on how much you can use for project work. Want to add a new field? Fine, 15 minutes of support. Want to build an entire new module? That goes into the project backlog. We had recently been getting project requests that he expected to be done the next day. So, we had the meeting and agreed the following. 1. They are a nightmare to work with. Customer said this, not us, we just heartily agreed, and they will improve internal PM. 2. They will properly communicate with us when it comes to new product add-ons and integrations, bringing us into conversations early so we can guide them. 3. They have a big project coming up that they need us to make changes to their CRM to help implement. We jokingly said, of course, however, if you're asking us to do 20 days of work in the next 30 days, we may struggle because we don't have resource just sitting around, ha 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 ha. This meeting happened at the end of February. On March 18th, we had 2 emails. Hi, this is customer, let me introduce you to our accountants. They are putting in a new accountancy package and want to integrate it with the CRM. Also, let me introduce vendor. This is a new software package we bought to deal with project management, and again we want it integrated. And then 5 minutes later. Great news, we've won the big contract we were telling you about. Here's a list of changes we need you to make. I estimate 25 days of work, and we have to have it running by the end of the first week of April. My boss and I just looked at each other and went, "Fancy a pint," and went and drowned our sorrows.